Okay, folks, this is Dan Cruz. Go by Crafty Dan pretty much everywhere online. And I'm going to be picking this ABUS. This is 7240. See if we can get that in the right light for the camera. Nice little lock. It took me about a week to figure it out. And that's after picking a lot of other locks first. To pick it the first time took me about a week. And then after that, it took me another 2 weeks to get the feel for them. And then after that, they really pop pretty easily. They're nice, reliable, clean locks. Anyways, so verify, yep, that is the key for this lock. Click. And I am going to be using for this pick, try and keep this in the lens, using for this pick the Moki's Lock Master Remix. Nice little pick set for a for a jackknife. But more often than not, that's how I do my picking, is just in meetings and whatnot. So my pick style is pretty up close and personal. You don't see much actual grace, actual open space on this. Click. A little bit of counter rotations. The first couple of spools start to go in place. And click. There is a successful pick. Now comes the fun part. It's the gut. I have been picking these locks reliably for fun, the ABUS ones, for a good 3 or 4 months. Just because the gutting part is a bit of a pain. So there's a couple of fun ways that you can ease this up, particularly with the ABUS locks. First off, shims are your friend. So set it off to the side. First. That is actually something that's better. Go ahead and pull the key out a couple spaces. Key gives you a handle to hold on to things, and then you can reach in. But having the pins set in it while you do that holds the core in place. Makes it a little easier to get your pliers, your slip ring, or whatever tool in place. Okay, and now that it's in, key goes all the way in. And you have to be careful at this stage not to pull it out, because it will come. So I'm pressing against the core as I'm working. And you just work that thing in there. The pins are going to want to come, and it'll eventually hit the rim here, and then it pops out. Once you get here, you're going to stop. Now I'm using a specific tool. Gentleman on Reddit come up with a very fancy tool, bridge something or other. I hate to be so callous as to not get his name right, but he did a clever job with this little widget, and you'll see. This is my remix of his design. I'll set this aside. The pins are free in here. We'll get those out in just a second. I just want to go ahead and rotate this all the way over, and we're actually going to rotate it all the way the other direction. We're going to leave the sleeve in place here for the moment, because if once I pull it, all of them are going to go pop. We're just going to set that aside for the moment. And one thing that I learned, tap the key and it pops out. The pin pops out. That being said, you're not number 7. You're number 1. Number 1 in my book. And pop. Sometimes, of course, they fall out all on their own. Okay. And a tiny one. And one last tiny. Oh, you're not a tiny one. Okay. And then the matching key for this side. Now for these, depinning them is not a problem. I'm going to actually twist it 90 degrees. So with this little widget, and we'll see it in a little greater detail, that there are holes down here that line up with everything. It makes it really easy for repinning. For depinning, you just bring them out of the line. And you can pull this, and they're pressing up against this. And then you slide it forward until you hear a pop. That's the first one. You go there. A little further, and a pop. And a spool. A little more, and a pop. And another spool. And a pop. And another spool. Pop. Spoiler alert, folks, this thing's full of spools. Okay. Okay. This is out of the way. Key out of the way for the moment. Shake out a bunch of springs. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And get you a little troublesome beast lined up. Close-up time for those art of sight. And you see bunches of spools. That's it. There we go. Very carefully set this down. And for a greenbelt submission, that's enough. But let's go ahead and put everything back together. It won't take long. So, nice part about this is you can slot it in like that. Of course, you look at it, this is the notched side, so this is pin number 1, pin number 6. And we're going to put this guy in there. And your spool. Of course, things do not go smoothly. Second the camera turns on, everything becomes more awkward. Now the beauty of this is there's no pressure on this at all, because this one has the full width of the cylinder. The downside is, particularly with this ABUS cylinders, without the spring under compression, it is actually sticking up, the spring is sticking up into the cylinder, or out of the Bible, and the pin's not even in the Bible right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my push rod, push her all the way in, and then I've got a little cheater here. That little smiley face there is for my shim. One end of this is a little more bent than the others. I've been doing this a couple of times in practice. And then I slip it in and release pressure. And then voila. Or for the French with us, voila. It is in place. And this way, you are not working down the barrel of a gun, trying to do carburetor surgery through the exhaust pipe. Down the hole, make sure that you can slip this in here and make sure the shim isn't in there yet. This is number 3 from the back side, which is the equivalent to number 4 from the normal side. And just like normally picking, where you set the shim, it's a bit of a feel. You set it too far and it will block the next chamber. But this is very repeatable, very simple. It does have the distinct advantage of you can look down the chamber and see where this thing is set. You can also make this out of transparent, print this from transparent filament, and then take that transparent filament. Yeah, that is number 2. Shine a light through it, it would light everything up. You could easily see where that shim is and is not. Of course, I haven't bothered with that, but that's not the point. All the way in, being held in place by the shim. There we go. That part's done. Next, key and core. Bible's loaded. All we need to do is load the core. And 1 through 5. So yes, I'm loading these backwards because according to the numbers, because I'm left-handed and the world works differently that way. That being said, everything's got to line up with the key. So if I put these in the reverse order, and the key is not symmetrical, it's going to tell you my thing's not quite fitting as flush as you'd hope. Okay. There we go. Pointy and down, and come on, you. Pop! Now here's the beauty of it. I just push right on in. Grab the clip, pull out one key position so it is locked. Now, particularly with this ABUS locks, and it's not unique with that, there is a detent here in the actual groove, and that is because this is not a C-clip, this is an E-clip. It has a little bitty centering point or alignment point there. If you do not get that aligned, it will not fully seat. So, as you can see, we're trying to get that part aligned. And that's good enough for government work. Factory, I think it's seated a little bit better than that, but that's enough that it will, the lock will run. Finish our install. Core back in. Put our wavered screw back in. These electric screwdrivers. Sorry about the flashy lights, but the last couple of turns you want to do manually. Pretty ABUS logo. Key goes in. ABUS 73 or 7240 is picked. Thank you, folks.